Hey everyone, Naosha here. In this video, we're doing a Maehwa versus Maehwa. This is going to be Maehwa Succession versus Awakening Maehwa, so you get to see a little bit of a perspective here. Um, Overall, my initial thoughts for you guys, I've already done these fights quite a few times with not only this particular Maehwa, but other Maehwas as well. But generally speaking, Awakened Maehwa has better catches. And the ability to use pedal drill to slow with 30% movement slow can have a major impact on a succession Maewa's ability to position properly and or catch. There are quite a few gaps in some of the succession Maewa skills, such as Stigma Stab being uncancelable currently in the current state of the game, but we can kind of make up for some of the stuff, like with the pedal drill thing. If someone tries to dive in with you with pedal drill, you can kind of trade a backstep slash. I didn't do that too much in this video, but just wanted to kind of note that kind of stuff. But those are some things you can do. You can use whirlwind cut to kind of bait people, even though it does have a big stamina drain on it. But overall, like, the fights were really good, and Rojo did pretty good. He was using a more DP oriented build because he, knew that my AP would be a little bit much for him. But he had a 318 DP and 233, 236 AP. I think he said by switching to his DP build. Um, he would have 360 and change with Nova, but yeah. So enjoy the fights. Alright, so from here on out, I'm going to kind of commentate a little bit in these fights. So in here, you're seeing that we're trying to trade CC catches. He caught me right there during my Stigma Stab, but the follow-up was unfortunate, where he didn't get a proper follow-up because he did another stiff immediately after. So the CC chain broke. Tried to weave in a carver there to see if I could land it on his back. He had a very nice catch right there and was able to combo me. Unfortunately, without a clean combo, he wasn't able to finish me off. I think I had a Sticky Snowflake debuff on him, which slowed him down. Tried to block the pedal drill slow with Red Moon there with frontal guard. And then from there I ended up catching him. Good usage of forward blind thrust on his part. Just unfortunate he didn't catch me there. I was anticipating it, so I didn't bother. I caught him in chase iframe there, I think. Chase iframe has been notoriously bad recently with the servers in the state that they are, especially for us East Coast players. I live in Florida, so it's pretty awful. I used to use chase iframe as a means to always counter my opponent, but lately I can't do that. Get another unfortunate failed follow-up CC. This one I think was just a resist on my part. Or, as I'm stating right there in game, I'm basically suggesting that maybe his follow-up was a little slow. Right there I did a whirlwind cut linger straight into Red Moon to bait him in, because the whirlwind cut can sometimes be misleading, especially in a fast-paced moment. You might not notice that I'm actually lingering, and it'll look like I got stiffed, because I'm kind of like staying in a stationary position. And it's a very subtle animation. So right there again, he went for the Red Moon. Not sure if he noticed the whirlwind cut, but it was the same kind of principle. And from there, he actually got me pretty good. Maehwa mirrors can be pretty challenging because it's mostly about the speed. He got around my Red Moon and positioned himself well and did oppression. I tried to do Sticky Snowflake there, but even though it went on cooldown, the servers decided that I didn't get it oftentimes, so I didn't gain the super armor protections. There is, by a lot of reports, there seems to be a gap at the beginning of Sticky Snowflake, so just be wary of that. And I've pretty much noticed as much as well, but I'm not sure if it's intended or if it's servers, so it's really hard to be sure. He had a very good counter right there. I tried to counter his positioning with Stigma cancel out of Red Moon, but he actually countered my counter. Right there, I didn't think I caught the CC, and I jumped right on top of his position and then turned because I was anticipating him to move. Then I realized I actually CC'd him, so I turned real fast and blind thrusted for the follow-up, and it was just enough time to actually land it. I tried to go for the Red Blade meme in this particular fight at the start. Unfortunately, didn't yield anything important. The Red Blade mechanic itself, that was unfortunate desync. The Red Blade mechanic itself is really good for PvE, and it's really good for large scale. For 1v1s, it's not as impactful, mostly because the catches kind of limit you. When you go into the Red Blade state, the D-Bite becomes a spammable ability that doesn't really CC. It has a knockback at the very end of the animation, but it's not really a tangible engage CC. It's not like that. It's meant for damage. So you're kind of limiting yourself on your ability for catches. One thing you can do if you don't like the Red Blade version of D-Bite, you can actually unlearn the Prime D-Bite and actually do the Absolute D-Bite, and you'll actually keep your D-Bite, your original D-Bite. But that means the only thing you're really going to have Red Blade for is Red Moon and Carver. So it's up to you. That kind of seems like it defeats the purpose. I view it from a 1v1 perspective. If they could actually make it so that other abilities gave you the stack, it would be really good as a combo. You like enter it into a combo and then Red Blade, Red Moon. That would be pretty nice. Nope. I outpositioned myself there. Unfortunately for him, he was a little outside range to get that follow-up float. That was an awkward catch. He caught the Stigma stab, but from my point of view, I don't think he should have caught that. You'll notice a lot of the fights, I'm pretty low on stamina, but I'm still kind of managing. Mostly that's just like with a lot of practice. I'm used to being low on stamina, and most Maehwas are, but I'm used to being low on stamina and actually continuing fights. When I was in Awakening, I would fight quite a few Succs and actually pressure them by basically putting us both at no stamina and try to catch them outside their iframes that way. It's a very risky strategy because you're obviously putting yourself in the same position as them. You have like no mobility to speak of, but we had overall better catches than Succ typically for that kind of play. That was just complete outplay right there. I had proper positioning, everything, got around his frontal guard immediately. He had no time to cancel. It was very clean. Did a grapple over there just in case he didn't do December. I went for a potential CC in the back, but he ended up doing December, which was proper protection, so smart. He went for Petal Bloom there. I think that was probably accidental. But I punished the fuck out of that the moment I seen it. That was unfortunate on my part. I used all my engaged CCs, and I wasn't in proper positioning for the follow-up CC with the Blind Slash. So I tried to get closer, but by that point I already used up most of my CC duration. But the follow-up, or the other CC catch was pretty solid. Kind of wish they would actually increase the range of blind thrust sometimes. I feel like I always get in that awkward position where, like, I catch someone with the engaged CC, but I kind of already backed off a little bit as a way to protect myself. And then Blind Slash, when I realize that they got CC'd, is a little bit outside the range. It's really unfortunate. That was a good catch on his part. Notice how we're playing really tight on each other. I mean, I'm trying to stay right on top of him the whole time, and he's trying to stay on top of me. He's got his quick CCs that he's trying to land. He's depending on oppression as well as the same skills as me. D-Bite, 4-Blind Thrust, Stigma, Red Moon, all those abilities he's depending on just like I am. He just has oppression to help add to that. So I'm trying to dodge that. But I noticed that it's kind of relying on it a little bit much. I tried to bait him in, and then I tried to punish that Red Moon and failed. I don't know if that was a iframe, like a chase iframe catch, or maybe he just ran out of gas and walked forward on accident. Right here I'm showing my stamina. My stamina is at 3013. So I am probably at an advantage in this fight over him as far as not only gear, I mean, that's clear, but also the stamina. But that just goes to show I'm still basically empty on stamina every fight. So that was good, clean ass catch on his part. Very good 4-blind thrust. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. Didn't anticipate him doing that fast. Caught him awkwardly there, unfortunately. Didn't get that follow-up. I almost got that Stigma to land on his back, but unfortunately it didn't. He moved just in time. One thing to help deal with the stamina problems is Stigma, ironically. Trying to use it as less of an aggressive skill and more of a mobility skill. Because we have such bad stamina problems, Stigma doesn't cost stamina and has this weird thing where they made it so that it's not able to cancel chase, so you actually get some pretty decent movement out of it. So it's a way for you to like back up and disengage, and if someone encroaches on your position, you can always end up accidentally catching them with Stigma sometimes. It's pretty funny. Seeing his blooming step and like, fuck you, here's my blooming step, bitch. Didn't do anything. That right there is a prime example of why you generally don't want to try to counter a red moon with Stigma. Stigma is notoriously bad in both Awakening and Succession for countering a red moon. Red moon hits 360, so it's... if your Stigma is even slightly off, because it still requires some form of like pinpoint accuracy. Like, it has a decent hitbox, but it's still not big. Like right there's a prime example again. He went for Stigma and Stigma counter on Red Moon. Red Moon just happens to hit it so easily because that stab gap is so wide, even on Awakening. It's even worse than Succession. That was a clean blind backstep slash, actually. Backstep slash CC. That was pretty nice. Risky, but nice. I don't really recommend doing that as a CC. Caught his oppression with Stigma. I tried to go for a triple decap spam to kind of meme combo, and it failed horribly. I didn't get the accelerated decap, and it just fucking felt so gimped. The meme was on me. And right there, I remember this one. He caught my red moon when I was trying to use Stigma, but I just used Stigma, so I forgot the cooldown. That was rough. Something to note, for those that actually do know how Succession works, oh, that's unfortunate. For those that do know how Succession works, as far as the triple decap spam is concerned, you can actually use Carver as an engage, as an alternative engage, because it has a frontal guard in the red blade state, so it's not too bad, but it's not amazing either. You can kind of camera turn it. I didn't really do it too much because I mostly didn't go into red blade in these fights. I tried to do a couple meme combos and then I think I stopped from that on. That was unfortunate. It's that Stigma stab. Notice how basically whenever I'm trying to cancel out a red moon, or just like any of my abilities for that matter, I'm not going in a straight line. It's important because if you have a linear playstyle, you're easy to read, and it's easy to throw out a CC in that general direction and actually end up catching you like a stub arrow. So you want to do like different positions all the time. Just like you see how I turn my camera and do different angles. Just always changing it up. Trying not to be like right there. Instead of going around the other way, I backed up. A little evasive roll. I'm playing around with evasive roll right now. I'm trying to do some meme combos. Not in this particular fight, but just in general. Oh, that was unfortunate. Bad aim on the Carver. What I was gonna say earlier, most of the fights I tried not to do a stigma into Sticky Snowflake to kind of help protect Stigma. The reason why I kind of hold the Sticky Snowflake is because I want my Red Moon or my Blooming to actually have a super armor protection. I try not to use Red Moon too much, but I do use it a fair amount because, well, it was working, so it was actually catching him a fair amount, so I didn't mind using it. But typically, Red Moon can be viewed as pretty dangerous to use with Succession because Sleet Step has a much shorter cooldown and it's fully protected than Sticky Snowflake. Whereas if I use Stigma, it's got a shorter cooldown of 4 seconds, but it has that vulnerability with that stab, and just not really a big fan of spamming Red Moon, trying to get an aggressive CC. With Awakening, I was all about spamming Red Moon right in people's faces, seeing if it trips them up, you know, but it's a lot riskier. Just good catch on his part. Tried to guess to see if he would go that way and I would hit him in the back with the Blooming. The good thing about the Blooming is it does so much fucking damage and it flows well with combos. The bad thing with the Blooming, it's not really a good counter skill anymore because of that big wind-up. It's slower on the initial wind-up, but the damage, and you can cancel it out really quickly, so it helps make it safer. But it's just not a good counter ability now. That's really all I'm trying to emphasize. He caught my Carver. It's kind of an awkward time to do Carver. I probably had an idea that he might try to move that direction. That was unfortunate. I caught him clean, but I had no cooldowns. So I'm like, at least no cooldowns that were close by for actually engages. If I tried to do Red Moon there, he wouldn't have been in range. If I tried to do Blind Slash, he wouldn't have been in range. I didn't really have the range for the kick. So I'm just like, that sucks. I should have gone for a charged stub arrow, but I kind of blacked out there. If you go for a charged stub arrow, that does another stiff. But what I can do, if I cancel the charged stub arrow, it does another stiff. But then I can use grapple arrow to get it close, and then I can float him with Red Moon and then finish him off with Blooming. That would be the ideal combo that I would do in that kind of scenario. I just blacked out there for some reason. I protected that Stigma that was meant to counter him with Sticky Snowflake so that he didn't try to punish it. It was a risky Blooming. Petal Bloom, I mean. Now I'm gonna be honest, I really don't recommend playing this aggressive with Maehwa Succession if you want to succeed on a regular basis. I'm just getting away with it because I'm just trying to outposition him. But generally speaking, and also I'm intimately familiar with Awakened Maehwa, so I know how to move around it. But generally speaking, other classes, you want to be a little bit more on the patient side. Wait for your cooldowns. Don't use Stigma. That was unfortunate. It was in chase, I think. But, or trying to do Stigma, probably. But generally speaking, you you kind of want to hold your stigma for positioning and disengage purposes, and only use D by 8 4 blind thrust and stub arrow, charged stub arrow, maybe red moon in some weird circumstances. That's kind of honestly the playstyle you should be doing, which kind of leads into a semi-passive kind of style. Unfortunately, I don't like it, but until they fix some of the bugs and the design flaws, that's kind of what you gotta do against like extremely good people on other classes. For Maehwas, you can kind of be aggressive like this. Unless they play super defensive, then you have to kind of mimic. But he's playing aggressive, so I can play aggressive. Retaliation counter, that was nice. And then I went for a little bit of a meme combo. Oh yeah, we're doing the first to 10 right now. I think it's 1-1. So right there, I did the red moon going the other direction because I was anticipating him to try to counter my back. And he ended up getting floated from my back instead with red moon, so worked out. Tried to do a charge stub barrel cancel, see if I could catch him with a quick stiff. Yeah, I'm getting really lucky with my red moons versus him. That's not typical. He keeps on trying to counter my red moon with stigma, and that's just not going to work, unfortunately. It happens sometimes. That was a clean fucking BTB. Or a 4 blind thrust, I mean. Every once in a while, a stigma will fucking hit its mark on red moon, but just rare. Oh, I had fucking cooldown issues right there. And then I just fucking failed across the board. Ended up finishing him off with Sticky Snowflake. Almost don't want to count that fight because that was just garbage. Notice how I'm trying to block the pedal drill as much as humanly possible. Try to prevent the slows from being stacked on me so that I can keep my speed. Right there was just, I predicted what he was going to do. My red moon was in the right spot and he went straight for that. That was pretty nice. Dodging the pedal drill slow with positioning. That was weird. I caught him clean with the 4 blind thrust, and then I caught him with the follow-up stigma, but he desynced out of it, probably because he had chase iframe up right when I caught him with stigma, and the server's desynced. But then he went to go follow up on me, and his positioning was bad, unfortunately, from his perspective as well, and I was able to get the follow-up to counter follow-up. It's just, the whole thing was just weird. Surprised he didn't get that, actually. He should have CC'd me. I've been getting used to how my stigma randomly catches people, so I automatically jump to where their original position was, and I start to turn to face where I think they're gonna go. And then I turn my camera real quick to notice that I did catch them and then float them. Something you get used to. I'm doing a lot of aggressive red moons. I really don't recommend that. They're just working with fighting him, so. tried to do a meme fucking blooming. Failed horrifically. And I got punished, rightly so, for it. He had another failed CC on a red moon. He didn't get CC'd that time though. I caught his stigma, I think it was, with my stigma. I just outpositioned his. And from here on I throw the fight a little bit. Do some stupid stuff and get caught and killed. Try to go for the blooming one-shot finisher. I tried to see if I could get that last kill with just blooming and fucking aped it. Failed. You gotta have fun, right? Ah, that was unfortunate. I tried to counter his counter with a carver, but he countered my counter. I didn't anticipate him doing a blooming right there. I think that was accidental. So I was like not facing him at all, and so I couldn't do a quick CC attempt. That was a good clean catch. Those are good fights. But yeah, if you like the video, make sure to hit that like button. If you're not subbed, sub, so you can get updates when I do future content. I'm going to be doing a succession guide for combos and then also PvE as well. I'm doing a community-based one this time around. So basically what that means is if anyone wanted to submit combos that they thought were pretty nice and did good in various scenarios, they submitted it on my Discord, and then from there I was going to kind of evaluate them. If I felt that they were viable, then I'd put them in and I'd give credit and whatnot, and I'll give credit to all those that submitted, but I might not use every combo. But yeah, look forward for that. Alright everyone, have a good one.